How are we doing, guys? It's Luke here for SimBoxx. We're down at the launch press conference ahead of Jack Catterall versus Catterall Eubank. On the undercard will be the Sonny Edwards managed Leo Atang's professional debut. I'm joined by Sonny. Sonny, first and foremost, how's things?
Yeah, all good, mate. Busy, very busy.
Well, that's it. Obviously, I'm sure now you're enjoying life as a retired boxer. Is that a decision that you're still happy with? Have you had any thoughts of a comeback? Has there been any kind of itch to get back in the ring and put the gloves on?
Nah, to be honest, I've been pretty much snowed under with what I'd already started building and now I'm carrying on to continue doing. Look, I'm currently working with about 13 fighters. Yeah, I'm at a lot of shows. I'm also working with Matchroom, commentating. So, yeah, really busy. I think more busy since I retired than I ever have been.
Absolutely. Now, with a lot of boxers, when retirement comes around, there's always the worry that there's not that activity maybe to fill the void that they had before, and to keep busy, to keep mentally switched on. That's something that you've clearly been able to do. And do you find yourself getting just as much reward from helping the fighters that you manage as you did winning in the ring and getting the victories yourself, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I always had a high pressure on myself and a high expectation, probably more than pressure. I expected a world title for myself. I probably expected more that I didn't end up achieving, if I'm perfectly honest. So I don't know, there was always sort of that, I don't know, I could never allow myself just to enjoy my own success unfiltered. Like, there always had to be, like, what's next? It's just how my mind always worked for me. With other fighters, though, understanding what it means to their life, their careers, their families, their everything, usually. Yeah, it's very easy for me to feel that sort of second-hand accomplishment and pride for someone else's achievements. And when I'm involved with the decision-making, when I'm involved usually in the corners, in the camp, building the fighter, branding the fighter, yeah, it ticks all those boxes and probably then some, to be honest. I mean, I've done and set out and achieved all I could probably achieve in my professional career, and now the sort of opportunities are endless, really, with where we can take it to. And look, I'm working with some of the best and most talented fighters coming through, fresh out the amateurs, so straight away the sort of trust between me and the fighters that I'm speaking to and working with. They can see what I'm trying to do. They can see the effort I'm trying to put in. Right now, I feel like one of the busiest people in boxing. I'm everywhere, and it doesn't matter if it's big show. It doesn't matter if it's a 6-rounder down at the coast. Like, I'll be at the end of the week for Man Zapmakesh's 4th pro fight. I'm there. I'm up and down. So forgive me if I'm a bit tired sometimes.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of, I've seen, footballers talk about when they're on the pitch and then they go into media and it's totally different. The nerves are totally different. Boxers themselves, they'll go in and fight 10, 12 rounds in an absolute war, but then you put them in front of a camera and they kind of freeze. You're someone that's very media savvy. How do you compare the two, like life as a full-time boxer and now life in the media as a manager and the different pressures that come along with it?
To be honest, and I know it sounds like kind of like a paradox, I never really was that interested in getting really well known or like, it was never for that. I wanted to achieve a dream and show everyone I was the best at boxing. That's all it ever really was. So I was always quite happy that I fell into sort of like that space where, yeah, I was never the most famous person in the room, especially not through my career early on, especially. But it just let me sort of settle down to what I was doing. Now I'm at a point where, I don't know, without blind smoke on my own arse, I can't really walk in a room around boxing without an interview or can I get a picture or
Case in point right here.
yeah, and that just is what it is, and I understand that. But now for my fighters, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll jump and I'll speak and I'll promote them, but my main part is behind the scenes, the under the hood stuff, the fight team stuff, the fight week stuff, the preparation, the linking them up with tried and tested SNCs or nutritionists or physios or whatever it may be, whatever the 360, whatever might come up in a young fighter's life, which, as you can imagine, just like everyone else, can be absolutely anything. I know I had to call my manager at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes after some bad nights and yeah, so I must be that for the fighters that I work with too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in particular, we're going to speak about Leo Tang. He's making his pro debut. For the people out there that might not know about Leo, tell us a little bit about him and what we can expect when he makes that pro debut.
Yeah, very, very successful amateur, European gold medalist, European silver medalist, travelled the world of England, got onto Team GB. They was really looking to put in as one of the fighters for the future, but he wanted to go pro. He's turned 18 and he decided he wanted to go. He's very explosive. He's very athletic. He's an athlete and a very tough kid as well. A real nice kid, but very tough. Can take a punch and then keep throwing back. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I think he's going to be just an exciting fight. I think people are going to really look forward to his career.
Yeah, we look forward to it. And obviously, there's another young heavyweight out there in Moses Talma. He's only a couple of years older than Leo, but he's obviously more advanced in terms of his career. At what speed would you be looking at moving Leo at 18? He's still a baby as a heavyweight. He's still got 10, 15 years ahead of him, if not more, depending on how his career goes. Is there a plan for 2025 moving forward? How quickly do you want to move him on?
He needs to be busy. He needs to be active. He needs to be getting experience. But if I'm being perfectly honest, at his pace, and I know all too well the dangers of a boxing ring. I know the sort of the rate that you need to show to get to the next level and prove it. I know a lot of fighters right now are sort of getting chucked in the deep end before they can really swim at that level, and then they get found out, and their career is never the same again. And it's your job as a manager to protect your fighter as much as possible, because the promoters won't do it, because it's not in their business strategy to. Obviously, they always want the best fights, the biggest fights as soon as possible. And look, we're going to try and get the first couple of years out of the way, see where he is then, and then pick the sort of route and the rate. But I can't lie, I would love to see Leo, get his experience, travel a little bit, sort of tick the boxes that need to be ticked, and then start picking his route up. I'd like to see him go the traditional way. He's in no rush. When you turn pro in the first month of being 18, you have that luxury of time. You're not in a race to get there, because at the end of the day, if he jumps in a massive fight in the next 2 years, he'll be cheating himself from the version of him he can become in 5 years. And yeah, that's the strategy, that's the model of him. We're not coming out the gate saying, oh, he's going to be the youngest heavyweight. None of that. He's going to get there when he gets there, and I think he's a fighter that, with the right opportunities, the right learning, the right people around him, which I think he's got, at the right time, he'll deliver, and he'll be one of the biggest names from Britain in boxing.
Yeah, we look forward to the journey of Leo Tang. Like you say, they're very wise words. He's got a great team around him. Just a word, Sonny, before I let you go, on the main event of that card. Jack Catterall taking on Catterall Eubank. A bit of a left field fight, I think it's fair to say, up at 147. What did you make of the announcement, and what did you make of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, no one really expected it. I didn't really expect the fight, but at the same time, look, Jack Catterall was just lost to Barboza, so a domestic name is perfect for him right now, because it draws more attention than, I don't know, just a decent international opponent somewhere. Now, Harlem's coming up from 140, isn't he? I think this is his first fight, or has he had one?
The McKenna fight was at 147.
That's what I was thinking. It was at 147. But yeah, so he'll have that bridge to gap. But look, Harlem's younger, he's fresher, but Jack has operated and won and competed at a level far higher than Harlem ever has. So I don't read too much into the Barboza loss, and the reason why, I think tactically and mindset, Jack was wrong in that fight. I don't think it was anything to do with his physicality. I don't think it was anything to do with his boxing ability. I think he went in there for the second or third time in a row, headlining the crowd, against maybe an opponent that he didn't really think was the best, especially not like physically demanding. But he tried to get to the target and throw without really setting up, without really thinking about it. He didn't have like a plan B, and he never, which I was really surprised at, reverted back to his original style of standing offish, letting them make the first move and reacting, because when he does that, he's one of the hardest fighters in the world to beat, or land an even clean shot. He's very compact, he makes the right steps, and he's tough as well, so we can take that shot and still be there throwing back. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed in that performance, just because for so long he's a fighter that I genuinely point to and tell fighters to go and watch, because certain things he does about his style make him a very hard fighter to beat. I just don't think he did those things that I usually give him so much credit for in the Barboza fight. Now, he might be in a similar boat here, where with Harlem, he's thinking, I need to be impressive, I need to put on there. And that might play into Harlem's hands a little bit. I don't know. It's an interesting fight. I think one would have to favour the chances for Catterall, but by no means is Harlem Eubank just no chance or no hope, because he's physically a very, very good athlete. He looks after his body, he eats well, he lives the life, and he comes from champion sporting background in Eubanks, and right now he's got a whole field of confidence, and this is probably his moment where he's thinking, let me push on, let's go.
Absolutely. Sonny, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate your time for SimBoxx. Thanks for speaking to us.